Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pickdawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, May 22nd, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, and I've actually hit the last 6-7 of those best bets, so you can check that out at Pickdawgz Premium. I'll have my link to my capper page in the description below. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday, May 22nd. First up, we're going to take a look at the game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Steven Matz and Bryce Wilson are your starters. Now, Steven Matz, I've been conflicted with his game this season, 6.03 ERA, so he certainly couldn't be doing too well this year, but I do think he is pitching better than his ERA suggests. 10.61 Ks per nine, really solid strikeout numbers, way up from last year. 1.93 walks per nine, so the walks he's limited walks more than last year. A 2.87 xFIP is solid. A 3.93 expected ERA is not too bad. And he's facing a Pirates lineup that is pretty weak against lefties. The Cardinals lineup is really strong lately. I mean, you brought up Nolan Gorman. It's only going to help his lineup. But guys like Paul Goldschmidt, who one of the hottest hitters in baseball, if not the hottest hitter in baseball right now, he's been able to carry this team at a big RBI double on Saturday. I think the Cardinals are just the better team, so give me the Cardinals on the money line here. Next up, we see this Philadelphia Phillies hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tony Gonsolin and Zach Eflin are your starters. Now, we see a total set at 10 for this game, which is kind of crazy for a game played at Citizens Bank Park. Definitely not a pitcher-friendly park, but certainly a total it's set really high for a park that's not Fenway Park, of course, Field. And it's really because you look at both of these teams, we know they can score, and we know the Phillies bullpen especially can give up those runs. We saw it on Saturday night. Phillies had a nice 4-1 lead early in that game, and we ended up losing the ball game 7-4. And it just shows to show you that bullpen can struggle at any time. They use a lot of arms out of the pen as well in that one. I do think Zach Eflin is going to struggle here for Philadelphia. He does have a 3.9 ERA, but going up against the Dodgers lineup that's #1 in baseball in team OPS against righties, I don't think he's going to fare too well. Strikeout numbers are down for him this season. He's given up a lot of base hits. I do think the Dodgers get to him. While on the other side, Tony Gonsolin, I could see him pitching well. His advanced analytics really aren't his friend, but I also don't think he's going to pitch too deep into this game. And I think the Phillies lineup has proven they can score with the Dodgers. We saw it in that first series in Dodger Stadium where the Phillies offense erupted. Getting Bryce Harper back in the lineup only helps their chances offensively. So, I think when we see an eye-popping total like 10 in this spot, it's a good reason to take the over. I'm going to take the over in the Dodgers-Phillies. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Graham Ashcraft and Yusei Kikuchi are your starters for this one. We're going to see Ashcraft making his major league debut for the Reds. Now, I'm going to keep this one simple. I'm going to have to take the Blue Jays on the run line or pass on this game. Yusei Kikuchi has improved quite a bit since the beginning of the season. Now his ERA is down to 3.38. Ashcraft, a guy that I really can't trust in his first major league start, especially against the Blue Jays on the road. Ashcraft, a 1.65 ERA in minor league play this season, but 4.7 walks per nine does scare me quite a bit. He's able to limit the long ball. He hasn't given up a home run all season in 32 2/3 innings, but strikeout numbers are down from quite a bit from last season, where he had 12.8 Ks per nine in 2021 with Dayton in A+, and in AAA this year, only 8.3 Ks per nine. In the major leagues, you're going to see those numbers shrink even more. So I do think the Blue Jays have an advantage offensively. I'm going to take Toronto on the run line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Corey Kluber and Spencer Watkins are your starters. Now, we're starting to see the regression from Spencer Watkins as we expected. Pretty good start to the year, but his numbers with only 14 Ks in 30 innings of work, he's bound to have some struggles, and he's given up at least one home run in his last 3 outings and 4 of his last 5 as well. The Yankees, he pitched okay against them, 2 earned runs in 4 innings, a home run, 3 walks, only 1 strikeout. Not great, not too poorly. But in the previous start, gave up 7 earned with a home run against the Cardinals. Gave up 7 hits, 3 earned, a home run to the Twins in 4 2/3 innings. I do think the Rays are going to get to him here. We saw the Rays, struggle quite a bit in that Friday contest against the O's. They bounced back in a big way, a strong 6-1 road victory. And Tampa Bay has really dominated the Orioles in recent seasons. I think they're going to get another win in this spot on the road. So give me the Rays with Kluber on the money line. Next up, we see a doubleheader between the New York Yankees and the Chicago White Sox. Now, the first game is going to be at 3:05 Eastern, and then we're going to see the second game actually be Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Now, in Game 1, we're going to see Johnny Cueto and Jameson Taillon, and in Game 2, we should see Michael Kopech and Luis Severino. Now, in Game 1, I do think the Yankees have the clear advantage. You know, Johnny Cueto is a guy that did pitch well in his first start of the season for the White Sox, but I mentioned in a video prior that I'm not necessarily the biggest backer of him. You know, he's not a guy. He's a guy who's going to get you some solid innings, but he's certainly susceptible to giving up base runners, giving up home runs as well, giving up a lot of base hits, like I mentioned. And I do think the Yankees, a lineup that's just super hot and plays so well at home as well. I think they're going to get to Cueto, and we've mentioned this season, the White Sox, they love left-handed pitching, and they were able to get it to Nasty Nestor on Saturday. You know, they didn't crush him, and the Yankees still won that game, but they scored a few runs. You know, Jose Abreu, 3-run shot. We saw him get to the lefty, but against righties, it hasn't been the case this year. They're 28th in baseball in team OPS against righties, and Jameson Taillon hasn't been great, but he doesn't need to be great to win this ballgame. You know, 3.28 ERA is exactly what the Yankees would want. Last time, he got roughed up a little bit by the Orioles, but against a lineup that's really struggling against righties, I think he pitches well enough to get the win here for New York. So I'm going to take the Yankees on the money line in Game 1. And then in Game 2, I'm going to take the under. I really like what I've seen from Luis Severino, another right-handed pitcher. I see the White Sox struggling offensively again in this spot, but I also like what I've seen from Michael Kopech this season. He's not going to pitch too deep into this game, but he has been able to stretch his innings a little bit more this season. Last year, more of a bullpen guy. But he's been more than an opener this year. He's got good numbers, 1.54 ERA, 33 Ks in 35 innings. You know, last time out, he went 6 innings, 3 earned runs against the Yankees. And, you know, the White Sox weren't able to win that ballgame, but the score was a 5-1 final, a low-scoring game there. I'm going to take the under in that game as well. So give me the Yankees on the money line in Game 1 and the White Sox and Yankees under the total in Game 2. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Boston Red Sox. Logan Gilbert and Nathan Eovaldi are your starters. Now, you know, the Red Sox are a pretty sizable favorite here with a guy like Eovaldi on the mound who struggled quite a bit last time out on the mound. We saw him give up a total of 5 home runs in 1 inning against the Astros, 6 earned runs. He gave up 9 total, so there was a couple errors that forced a couple unearned runs in that game. But, you know, Eovaldi this season, another guy that I'm conflicted about because you look at his strikeout numbers, 9.07 Ks per 9, not bad, you know, a little bit down from last year for him, but still above average. 1.51 walks per 9 is really solid for a starting pitcher. His walks are down from last year. The home runs are the biggest issue yet again for Eovaldi, but he does have a 3.35 xFIP, and, you know, we saw on Saturday, even if we saw that starting pitching doesn't mean everything. I mean, we saw Garrett Whitlock get crushed in that game, give up 4 runs. I think he gave up 10 base hits total in the first few innings. Mariners jumped off to a big lead, and then all of a sudden the Red Sox chipped away. They got to flexing a little bit in the bullpen, and they won that ball game outright. And I think this could be a similar spot where we see both starters get hit a little bit. Logan Gilbert starting to get hit more and more. He had a really sharp start to the season, but he has had some struggles last time, giving up at least 3 earned runs in his last 3 outings. I'm going to take the Red Sox here. Their lineup is really looking good. I think they get the win at Fenway Park. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. Ian Anderson and Sandy Alcantara are your starters. Now, I really don't understand why the Braves are the favorites in this spot. I know they've won the first 2 games of this series, but I think Sandy Alcantara is the far better option on the mound here. I think the Marlins are going to be able to get to Ian Anderson. You know, last time they faced him, they didn't burn him too much, but they did get a lot of base runners on. He got into issues with the walks. He gave up 3 walks in 5 innings, a home run in that one as well, and that was a 9-7 Miami win on the road. Miami, 7th in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching. I think they get to Anderson here. I know the offense has been lackluster this weekend so far, but I think this is a good spot to break out and win a game at home, salvage a game in this series. So give me the Marlins on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Detroit Tigers. Alex Faedo and Shane Bieber are your starters. Now, I really can't trust either of these starters in this spot. You know, Alex Faedo has done well this year, but he is facing a Guardians lineup that is in the top 6 in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching and top 7 in baseball in isolated power against right-handed pitching. I do think the Guardians are going to score plenty here, but I also do think the Tigers are going to be able to put up a few on Shane Bieber. He's just not the ace that he once was for Cleveland. You know, last time out, he pitched well, but, you know, 6 innings, 7 hits allowed. His previous start, 8 hits allowed. The previous start, 7 hits allowed. 7 hits allowed. He's allowed 7 hits at least in his last 4 outings. He's also given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4 outings. The walks have been an issue at times. The strikeout numbers are down for him. They're not too below average in terms of starting pitching, but for a guy like Bieber, who once was a strikeout starting pitcher, it's a little bit concerning. So I'm going to take the over here. Can't really back aside in this spot. Give me the over in the Guardians Tigers. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Kansas City Royals. Bailey Ober makes his return to the mound after an injury, and he'll be facing John Heasley in this spot. Jonathan Heasley. Now, Bailey Ober, like I mentioned, he was injured for a little bit. He is going to be returning his first start since April 28th. He was pitching really well for Minnesota. He's a guy that I was really optimistic about this season. I think he's got good stuff, and he has been able to, he's been one of the stronger starters in this rotation for Minnesota going into May. Unfortunate that he got injured, but he's back, and I think he has a very favorable matchup against a pretty weak Royals lineup. Ober hasn't faced the Royals yet this season, but Kansas City has struggled quite a bit against righties and lefties this year. Against righties, they're ranked 24th in baseball in isolated power, and against righties, they're ranked 24th in team OPS. So I do think Ober has a strong start. Jonathan Heasley, not impressed with his game. His first 2 starts, 8 1/3 innings, only 2 strikeouts with 7 walks. So a 2 strikeout to 7 walk ratio, that is not going to get it done. I think the Twins, a team that put up 9 runs and has scored a lot of runs late in these ball games, have been able to get to the Royals bullpen. I think they win this game on the road. So give me the Twins in this one. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Houston Astros. Taylor Hearn and Jose Urquidy on the mound for this one. Now, there is no way that Jose Urquidy is a minus 185, 190 pitcher, in my opinion. I just don't think it's the case. I know the Astros have won the last 4 games that Urquidy's pitched in. They've really been able to back him up offensively. When you look at his last start, the Red Sox game where it was a 13-4 Astros win, the Astros gave him a ton of run support. They had 5 home runs in the second inning of that game. But Jose Urquidy, he pitched 5 innings. He gave up 12 base hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs in that ball game. I just don't think he's as sharp as a minus 185 pitcher. 4.81 ERA this year. Strikeouts only 20 in 33 2/3 innings. A 1.49 whip. I just mentioned he gave up 12 base hits. And you look at Taylor Hearn. Sure, he's had his fair share of struggles, but strikeout numbers are good, and he's facing a team in the Astros that loves righties but cannot hit lefties. I won't say they can't hit lefties, but they're ranked 22nd in baseball in team OPS against lefties this season. I think this is a good spot to take the Rangers on the run line at least. I think it's a little bit, you might want to sprinkle some on the money line as well. The Rangers have been the king of the underdog run line lately, and you look at the Rangers, they're 18-21 in the season. I'm kind of surprised to see the record where it was. You look at the beginning of the year, they struggled offensively. The bullpen was miserable. They've been able to string together some wins and at least compete in this series. In the first game, they lost 5-1. The second game, they won outright 3-0. They covered the run line last night. I think they covered the run line here. Give me the Rangers on the run line. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Washington Nationals. Aaron Sanchez and Freddie Peralta are your starters. And folks, to me, this is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Brewers are playing real solid baseball. The Nationals have not played well in this series. I think the Brewers win this game going away. I think they have the far better starting pitcher. The Brewers love right-handed pitching this season. They are right now ranked in the top 5, I believe, in isolated power and team OPS numbers. They're 3rd in isolated power against righties, and they're 5th in team OPS against righties. I think they get to Sanchez and this weak Washington Nationals bullpen. Not many teams have a better bullpen than Milwaukee. I think Peralta has a strong outing. Give me the Brewers on the run line. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Chicago Cubs. Merrill Kelly and Wade Miley are your starters. Now, folks, I cannot take the Cubs in this spot yet again. They've burned us the first 2 games of the series. Not going to let it happen again. This money line price is interesting. Merrill Kelly is obviously the stronger starting pitcher. The Cubs are still favorite. But Kelly, the reason I think because of that is because Kelly's coming off 2 rough starts. He faced the Dodgers, gave up 8 earned runs. The previous start, he faced the Marlins, gave up a home run, 3 earned runs. But the Dodgers and Marlins are 2 of the better teams against righties this year. Marlins are 7th in baseball. Dodgers number 1 in baseball. Now you're facing the Chicago Cubs, who are ranked 21st in baseball in team OPS, and a Chicago Cubs team that have really found new ways to lose ball games. You look at the game on Saturday afternoon, up 4-0 really early in that game. They stretched that 4-0 lead to the 7th inning, and then the bullpen came in. They blew the game, went to extra innings, gave up a virtual inside-the-park home run, and they lost the game outright. Ugly, ugly game for Chicago. They're finding ways to lose, and because of that, I got to take the plus money with Arizona with the better starter. So give me the Diamondbacks on the money line. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the New York Mets. Taijuan Walker and Austin Gomber are your starters. I've mentioned this season that Austin Gomber is built to play at Coors Field because he doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, and he's facing a New York Mets lineup that has not hit lefties too well this year. They're ranked 18th in the league in team OPS. Their numbers have ticked up a little bit. They were near the mid-20s earlier on this season, but 18th in team OPS, 17th in isolated power. And they're having Taijuan Walker on the mound, which I really don't like this matchup for Walker either. A guy that doesn't really strike out a lot of batters, gives up a lot of base hits, and when you're pitching at a pitcher or hitter's park like Coors Field, giving up base runners is usually a bad sign, and not missing bats is also a recipe for disaster. So I'm going to take the Rockies here. We're getting a really good price with Colorado as the dog. I'll take them on the money line. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the San Francisco Giants. Mackenzie Gore and Alex Wood are your starters. Two lefties on the mound here. I do think the Padres have been a little bit disrespected by the books in this series. We've seen the Giants be pretty sizable favorites in all three of these games now this series, and the Padres were able to win for the first two games as the dog. They're 16-7 on the road this year, while the Giants are only a measly 11-9 at home. Not, a winning record's not measly, but still, they actually have a better record on the road this season. San Francisco does. Padres have hit lefties better this year. They're ranked 5th in baseball in team OPS, while the Giants are not too far behind at 9th, but I think Mackenzie Gore has been the stronger starter, a 2.17 ERA. Strikeout numbers are there. The walks have been limited. The home runs have been limited. I think he's the better option on the mound. The Padres lineup has got it done this series. The bullpen's also done a solid job. I'm going to take the Padres in this spot, getting a really good price on the money line. Next up, we see the Oakland A's taking on the Los Angeles Angels. This is going to be our final game of the afternoon before that Sunday Night Baseball game in Game 2 of the Yankees-White Sox doubleheader. Zach Logue and Patrick Sandoval are your starters. Now, I am going to take the Angels on the run line in this spot. Try to get a better price with Los Angeles. I think their lineup is just much better when compared to Oakland's this season. Patrick Sandoval has been sharp for the Angels, a below 2 ERA, a 1.91 ERA this year. The Athletics have hit lefties not too poorly this season at times, but still on the year they're ranked 23rd in baseball in team OPS against lefties and 22nd in baseball in isolated power against lefties, while the Angels top 12, I should say, in team OPS against lefties at 11th with a 709 team OPS. Not too bad. I think they get to Logue here. We saw him struggle a little bit in his last outing. 4 1/3, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, only 2 strikeouts, and his strikeout numbers are down overall this year. I'm going to take the Angels on the run line, but certainly not my favorite game on the board. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday, May 22nd. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. I'll have a link to my capper page in the description below. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.